Hello, it is week 6 of Prepared Attack. And you might notice that my team below me looks a little bit different. So some other teams were making some shuffles, particularly Arctech after I played him last week, dropped a couple beasties. And I had also been thinking of making some trades for reasons I'll get to in a moment. And Arctech actually dropped Illugus. So I decided, after thinking over it quite a bit, that I was going to try and pick up Illugus. And that meant that, unfortunately, we did have to say goodbye on the roster to Islands the Diggum and River the Hydrolm, so that I could have the points to actually afford the very expensive 7-point Illugus, and still have enough points left over to get a 7th Beastie, that being Druppa. The reasons why I dropped Diggum are more numerous than the reasons why I dropped Hydrolm. I don't feel like Diggum has played particularly well with my team. I think in terms of places it wants to torch pass, it usually isn't great positionally for torch passing. Sorry, something caught in my throat. Isn't great positionally for torch passing into the beasties I needed to torch pass into a lot of the time, which may be entirely my own lack of experience piloting the beastie. But I did also find that just the fact that it wasn't able to output any sort of offensive pressure, even when I, fully invested it like I did in whichever week it was, I think week 3, I decided that it was probably best to look for another torch passer who was able to have a bit more of an offensive presence. And I've been thinking that for quite a while, but it wasn't until now that one of those torch passers was actually available. Another thing I'd been looking for on my team was some methods of passive damage. Previously, I only had Noizard's Corner Shot for applying Sweaty or anything. I now have Illugus with Heat Up, Lay Trap, and Druppa with Heat Up, Heat Wave, all sorts of sweaty moves, which is going to significantly improve my ability to whittle down teams that are good at resisting my damage. We will see how it plays out in the end. The drop I am more sad about is having to leave Hydrolm behind. I do have some regrets as to not thinking about other ways to make it work, but I wanted to make sure I got picked up Illugus before anyone else could. But Hydrolm overall was a little bit of a struggle because its body defense wasn't super high, and between it and Noizard, and there's a third body weak beastie. It was just it and Noizard, but between it and Noizard, my team was feeling a little more body weak than I liked a lot of the time. And so it was kind of hard to bring both of those two. Noizard has been a bit of an MVP this season, so it isn't going anywhere. And beyond that, while it has such great utility in Cyclone and such, it was always just leaving a bit to be desired in the raw offense without boosting a department. It doesn't have quite as much power. Its mind power isn't super high, which I found held it back a little bit in some matchups, just because it isn't really able to output damage super easily if it itself receives the ball, because it has to then volley and click telekinesis on the same turn, which means I'm not clicking any other supporting plays, and it's a little rough. That said, I am really going to miss the ability with Drum and Rumpus to run Restoration and just basically shrug off any damage that goes its way. So that's something I'm really sad about not having anymore. But with that said, Illugus is a very powerful beastie for various reasons. It's not like the most damaging thing out there, but between like Masquery being a fantastic support for it, other beasties who also have cheer who can support it, even though there aren't any other tactical pass users on my team. It works, I think, a lot better as a solo mind beastie than Hydrolm does. It's hard to say, because again, Hydrolm does have telekinesis, which is super useful, but I found, like, I want that bit more power that Illugus should be able to provide. I like that Illugus has sideways move options in Slice and Dump that hit the front row. Previously, my only other sideways move user that hits the front row was Noizard's Slice, and Noizard I often want to run a utility attack, and usually it's receiving attacks, so Slice is often, like, not a good click on it, whereas Illugus is able to use Slice significantly more offensively, which should help a lot. Druppa is also here. I picked it up because I had 2 points remaining and needed a beastie, and I think that increasing my potential for Sweat Stall is going to at least create a threat create a threat with 2 points that a lot of the other 2-point beasties weren't going to be able to do. It also has Foggy and Patience, so it's able to deal with boosts similarly to how Hydrolm can run Patience or Cyclone. Obviously not as well, because its stats are those of a pre-morph, so it's going to struggle to keep up, but I think there might be a couple matchups where I'll definitely consider bringing it. With that said, though, just a quick final warm welcome to Shroud the Illugus and Labyrinth the Druppa. Let's get into the team for this week. We are playing Derpghost, who has a real interesting offense team with a bunch of threats on it and some really good supports, which is scary. We have a Fruitfolks here with redirection support from Noizard and also Mighty Yell on Beetleback. It being able to run Protector is very scary because it can boost itself up quite well while not taking any damage, because the thing next to it is taking the damage for it, and very good at taking that damage in the case of Beetleback. Varkabond here, a very nice self-sufficient mind attacker with telekinesis, sideways moves, etc. Being able to output quite a bit of damage if I let it get boosted up. It struggles a little bit from not having, like, the most damaging offensive moves, but Freeze Ray is still nothing to laugh at, and its sideways moves obviously force me to go to the front row, which means I'm taking more damage. I haven't prepped super hard for it. I'm hoping that it's gonna be a more supportive set, if anything, or I'll just be able to deal with it with sheer power from potential body attacks or spirit attacks. We'll see. Castle Lead is the thing I'm most scared of. Derpghost somehow managed to get this because it slipped all the way to the 5th round of the draft, which is wild. And I am scared of what this thing could do to me. Despite the fact that body defense is by far my best defensive stat, this thing is just so powerful with either overwork or power up or just clicking flex that it can really power through almost any team that isn't, like, super prepared for it. So we'll see how that goes. Trat here, nothing to laugh at. I love the guy. I mean, if you watched any of my content from last season, you saw me use it so frequently. It has an incredible buff from that's happened since last season, and cleanup also removing any boosts from beasties on the field, which is gonna be potentially a bit of a problem if it comes. And I am, like, very much noting the fact that between Trat and Beetleback, there are 2 clear field users and a cleanup user. So we'll get into that in a moment. Daredillo here, fantastic mixed attacker, able to hit on both of the body and spirit defenses. pretty hard on both. Has obviously very weak spirit defense, not great mind defense, but with acrobat it's able to overcome that sometimes. So still definitely a scary one. And Kitchik is also here. I highly doubt it will come against my team. With that said, let's get into my team for this week. I need to make sure I have set up the correct team and not the team I am planning to use in the bash that is coming this weekend, if I get to play at all. So, this team. I've decided to go 3 types offense as per usual with me. No drum at all this week. I wanted to lean into Illugus here because I think having precise will be super useful against any potential redirection from Beetleback or Noizard, and also against a team that has overall really good mind defense. Snipe is a fantastic move. It's going to hit basically every single beastie on this team harder than sneak attack would. So we are absolutely bringing it. You'll note that Illu actually does have like slightly lower mind power than Hydrolm does when fully invested, but with sneak attack, it can get itself to the front row, it can block and get some action economy going. I think especially with the easy receive potential, it's significantly more useful than Hydrolm in a lot of my upcoming matchups. I looked at a whole bunch of them and I'm just like, that Hydrolm doesn't look great here, Hydrolm doesn't look great here. There was like 1 week where I'm like, Hydrolm is fantastic here, but that wasn't enough to make me keep it, unfortunately, which I'm really sad about because I love Hydrolm. But yeah, Illugus is gonna be definitely one of the stars of the show here. I'm serving this week, so I am leading with it and Masquery in the first game at least, clicking sneak attack into probably blocking on defense. I have set on Masquery because blocks can obviously give it an easy receive, and it'll support all 3 of these really, like all 3 of the main attackers on this team in Hopper, Bolter, and Illugus quite well. I considered having Cheer here, but I decided I wanted another volley play because otherwise I wasn't really doing much with my volleys, and there wasn't really a good way to change that. Reach shot here for some sideways pressure because Illugus isn't running it this week, and also just to be able to potentially, like, you know, make a Castlete that's stuck in the front row shook, so it can't attack, make a Daredevil that's in the front row shook, force a Beetle back up to the front row to take more damage, etc., etc. Obviously not very good against a turn where Noizard or Beetleback is noisy, but we will see how it goes. I found it I think it's probably going to be more useful than just a totally uninvested stop, because I do want Masquerade to be able to take hits here. We'll see if I come to regret that. But the main thing here is Introduce. I am running Introduce alongside a Clamor Noizard, which is always a good time. The idea there is click Introduce onto the Noizard, tag in Noizard, it's noisy and tough and takes basically no damage, isn't angry, so it can then volley, click Whistle, and then shield on defense to basically mean there's no progress made. There's not much progress made on Derpghost's part for 2 turns in a row, which I think is going to be real powerful here. Max body defense to take any Castlete hits it needs to. 26 spirit defense is for a specific Frufolk's calculation. I believe it is, let's find out. It is taking less than half from a Frufolk's at the net with 1 boost clicking Scream. So we'll see if that comes into play or not. Probably won't, but it's something I wanted to keep in mind. Quarter shot here to round out the moveset and give me some passive damage if I so need it, and also to, like, prevent any, like, sitting in the back shenanigans and, you know, allowing me to wear down the supports, which I might otherwise not be hitting. Hopper here, super commit, introduce Tornado Ball, another introduce user to get stuff into Noizard. This is going to be overall, I think, obviously not every introduce can go into Noizard. A lot of it is going to be reads, but I love making reads, so we will, again, see how it goes. Max Spirit Attack, High Spirits, just to put out as much damage as I can. Tornado Ball probably won't get clicked as much as it has in some other matchups. I'm gonna try and mainly click Super Commit, especially because, you know, I can click Super Commit after introducing Noizard, tag in Noizard, click Super Commit again, whistle Shield, click Super Commit again the next turn, and Hopper's not actually taking any damage, which, if it's already in High Spirits, is going to be very powerful. Rounding out the team, we have an Armored Bowdler this week. Max body power with Thump, Dig, and Flex. Bowdler is the main reason why I have Rumpus on Mastery. Although Rumpus obviously also helps out everything else. I want to see if I can keep this thing fairly healthy throughout the course of the game, obviously with Dig, and also hopefully Flex will allow it to sort of boost up and become a bit more of a threat while staying on the field, especially if Castle Eat's out. And it's overall just a very good switch into anything because Armored means it takes very little damage on the first attack that hits it. After that, I can try and introduce it. We'll see. Either way, let's see. I think that goes over... I think that's all that I need to talk about with this team, so let's get a lobby going. Alright, intro was a bit longer than I wanted, so we'll see if Derpghost is ready. And I need to change the rules. 3 points to serve. I am serving. Undo on extended time limit. There we go. I've been playing a lot of bash format lately, as Zonk and I built some crimes. So, my rules were set to bash format. But here is draft. Oh, I suppose I can also mention I have a new fit in-game. I was like, oh, it's Halloween for the bash. I'll dress up. I'll dress up like a circus. And then I'm like, this fit is so good that I'm keeping it. Anyway, we are ready to go. So here goes nothing. All right, we see Frufolks, Castle Eat, Varkabon, Beetleback, Daredillo. Kind of glad to see Daredillo because between Snipe and Hopra, I'm going to be able to output a lot of damage onto it. Froof, Castle Eat, Varkabon, Beetleback, I pretty much expected. I'm glad to not see Noizard. I think that not being around is going to make Hopra a lot stronger. Probably also help Illugus quite a bit. With that said, though, this is a terrifying team. I don't know what the counter serve is here because the Frufolks is not next to anything that's going to be noisy. I do think, looking at this team, that Frufolks is going to be Treat. We're going to find out in a moment. Beetleback might be Captain here. We'll see. Let's find out. Okay, Frufolks out. No, it is Protector. Okay. And we have a Flex Castle Eat that's... Oh, Battlecry. Battlecry Steel, bring the heat. Gotcha. So we have a Flex Castle Eat that's going to be a threat. I definitely want to hit the proof here. Snipe doing a little more damage than sneak attack. Castle Eat, fully Spirit Defense invested. Makes sense. Varkabon in the back. Rattle, Net Rush, Dump. Fun set. I enjoy that a lot. Beetleback with Fallback. Fun. Rocket Clearfield. Yeah, I expected Clearfield to come. That's going to be a little bit of a pain if I don't manage to take things out while they're on the field. Daredillo, Acrobat, Shield, Provoke, Counter. General threatening stuff. I'm just going to sneak right into the Frufolks. I want to be in the front row to be able to click block. But with that said, I might have to just shield here. +1 Thump does 96 to Noizard, which I am not super happy about. Bring the heat here will knock out Illugus. Thump will not. So I could actually block the Frufolks here. If Thump comes out, I'm going to take, I believe, 99, which is obviously not the ideal number to take, but since I have a Rumpus Masquerie here, I'm just gonna go for it to start. Okay, it is a Thump into the Masquerie, so I get that wrong, which is rough. With that said, I can immediately start dealing a lot of damage. I can click Introduce here, and immediately start dealing some damage with Snipe. That said, I could also click Reach Shot. I almost want to go for it immediately. I'm gonna go for it immediately. Maybe it's... I have 30 seconds to think about this. Let's think about this. If I click Reach Shot and the Frufolks moves to front, it gets shook and is not going to be dealing any damage. If Fruit gets a boost, I'm gonna deal with it, but I don't think Derpghost will predict it here. Unfortunately, I am very wrong there. So Castlete here can deal a lot of damage. Again, shouldn't knock out Illugus if I'm not mistaken. I do kind of think the attack is coming into Illugus here, so I really kind of want to block it. Because I think that the Boulder switch is kind of telegraphed. Maybe I'm thinking too much, but that's what I'm gonna go for. Yep, attacks into Illugus. Okay. Perfect. I can get double blocked here, but I get an Introduce off. And sending Noizard in here is probably a good shout. I could also... I definitely want to deal some damage this turn. Yeah. I'm gonna hit the Frufolks again. I don't want it to get any boosts because I'd like to only deal with one thing being boosted, actually. Yeah, double block into the Illugus, as we expected. Deals 35 damage to the Frufolks, though, so it's not going to be able to take another one of those, which is important. Thump here, doing like 25 damage to Noizard as I tag in, which is super good. And I'm, again, going to be able to... click Whistle into shield here. I think that was a really fantastic bring on my part. We'll see if it's enough, but yeah, 27 damage, not all that much. Frufolks does have to switch out here. With that said, I could click Corner Shot and get a free point, but I think I'd like damage more than that. I think it's fairly likely that the Daredillo tags in here, so I'm actually gonna sneak into the Castlete. Yeah, expected. Importantly, Derpghost cannot both provoke and counter this turn, or cannot both provoke and thump this turn, which is good. And Castle Elite beautifully is 1 HP above power up. Illugus gets provoked, which is interesting. I suppose that prevents a block. But I can go ahead and click Corner Shot here, which I think I'd kind of like to do. Get Sweaty onto something. Yeah, we see a double block. Awesome. Illugus is unfortunately going to be blocked on serve, so I don't get a KO here. But I'm definitely going to want to hit the Castle Elite because, again, I do unfortunately put it into power up here, but this is far preferable to the alternative option. Yeah, it is Captain, so counter here, gonna do a fair bit of damage. Illugus probably about to get provoked. And definitely can't survive a counter. With that said, do I want Illugus to go down here? The issue is kind of having Noizard on the field a long time, and that's going to be a bit of a struggle, but I think I am going to just click Corner Shot here, no matter what. Question is, what do I do with the turn? And I think the answer is tag in Boulder. Whistle could be worthwhile here. Not much damage coming out of either of these. So let's just go for that into Corner Shot, and I can start chipping away the Beetleback, because it's probably gonna... The Beetleback probably wants to stay on the field quite a lot here. And getting it low will be very helpful. This also, of course, doesn't hit the Daredevil, which is important. We'll see who Provoke comes out into here. I think I'm not gonna shield this turn. I think I'd much rather block the Daredevil, so that I can potentially whistle again next turn. I can click Flex into Thump here, which I think is going to be pretty good. I'm doing a very good job so far of making sure Derpghost's bench is not, like, super healthy, which I'm glad about. The Beetleback can start clicking Clear Field, but 50 damage, that's crazy. I'm only at +2, and this is a Boldler, not the strongest body attacker. I guess the Beetleback probably isn't all that invested in body defense by the looks of it. It has some attack investment, and by the looks of it, some mind defense investment as well, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, never hitting the Daredevil here, never enabling a counter. We see block into the Noizard. Interesting. I guess that was to potentially allow, like, a double provoke. Either way, Noizard still can't go down here. I might actually tag them out for Masquery, potentially. Masquery, tagging in Masquery here gets me some Rumpus healing on Glacier, on my Woldler. With that said, at some point I do want to definitely lose a point, and let someone go down. We see Clear Field and counter. Makes sense. I'm probably going to let Boulder go down in a bit, but I could also, you know, considering I have Introduce around, Yeah, I mean, I can just introduce Noizard here. That, or I could click set into Thump, which is also going to deal a lot of damage. Let's check the set Thump damage. We'll knock out the Daredillo. We'll knock out almost anything in the back on the Beetleback side. Reach shot here is not as good progress as just trying to get a point, I think. With that said, am I safe to tag Noizard in? It looks like I am safe to tag Noizard in if Varkabon comes in here. Yep, okay. So jump calc right now is with the boost. It will not have the boost once it uses Net Rush and gets the volley. So I can tag in Noizard here. And then get a Whistle Shield off of, potentially. See, counter and moving up to double block, potentially. My Bowdler is very angry. Corner shot here, another potential point, but I think I would much rather just go up 2-0 if possible, and for that reason I'm going to hit into the Varkabond. Varkabond moves to the back to try and take a corner shot, but I didn't go for it this time. And with that, I think I just continue my thing of not hitting the Daredillo because I don't want to boost the counter. Castle Elite does come in and get into power up, but it's, wow. One short of knocking out the Bowdler. Bowdler actually can't go down this turn. That's fantastic. Counter from the front row will take out Illugus. Thump will take out Illugus. With that said, I think I'd like Hopra in. I think I'd like Hopra in because then I can introduce and that's less provocable. Yeah, we see a Thump. Introducing is far less provocable than like Shield on Noizard. Castle Elite has Shield. I don't have Provoke, which is obviously a bit of a difficulty. But if I introduce the Noizard here, I should be able to tag it in for Bowdler. The Castle Elite has to shield here. There is no play other than shielding the Castle Elite. Because if you don't shield the Castle Elite, you just lose, I think. Yeah. So now I have a Noizard who's ready to come in, and Super Commit from Hopra should get the win by the looks of it. The Varkabond will be back up, but will hopefully be fine. Right. Let's see. Hopra gets provoked. That's fine. So it's a bit of a 50-50 here, and it's pretty rough if I lose, but I think I probably have an out because serves don't seem to quite be killing things. Illugus does go down to bring the heat, but neither of the others do. So if Varkabond switches in for Daredillo here, and I hit into it, That's bad because Hopra immediately goes down, although I can do some repositioning at least. Boulder would also go down in the back row. So I think I need to... Counter can knock out Hopra with moving to the front row. But this is safer altogether, I think, than the other way around. Yeah. I did realize sort of at the end of that the Varkabon was always going to tag in there because having it in the serving slot would be kind of rough. With that said, Dump going to do a lot of damage. Hopra is angry, so I do need to just move it out of the way. This is a rough one. The serve afterward will be with counter. And I think I want Illugus in for that. I think I'd like Illugus in so I can... Oh, it's hard. It's hard. It's real hard. I'm going with Illugus. We'll see how that goes. Yeah. Oh, we actually see the back row counter in the provoke. Right. Okay. I think Snipe just wins now into the Varkabond, if I'm not mistaken. Deals enough to Frufolks, deals enough to Beetleback, deals enough to Varkabond, and easily deals enough to Cassidy. Okay, that looks like game one. Good, clean offense with some sillies. Okay, 1-0 in my favor. That was a pretty handy win, but I was at risk of losing if stuff didn't go great in those last couple turns, just because of how low I let my bench get. So I'm gonna try, I think, this upcoming match to, like, lose a point or two if I need to. I'm just really bad at losing points. Okay, Derpghost is asking for serve, so we're gonna edit rules and put that to the right side. Oh, definitely not exiting the lobby. One thing about this team I built is I really don't have a great counter serve here. The best option is probably... I'd expect we probably see like a rattle off of Varkabond here. Little hard to say. I don't know what my counter serve is. Was one of the downsides of this team. I think it's probably just Noizard here. Caslate doesn't have launch, so it's not the one serving. Proof can deal some damage. Yeah, I think it's Varkabond next to Beetleback serving here. And let's just, you know, I can just move Hopra up here, immediately get started dealing a whole bunch of damage. I can't click introduce immediately, but I can click whistle into shield, and Noizard won't be tired yet. So I can just get a whole bunch of damage right away if I want to. No reason not to click super commit here unless I wanted to adjust some positioning. And I think I just hit the Beetleback, because having that low will make it harder for other things to deal damage. No defensive action. It makes sense. The Frufolks could have come in, probably. Dump here, obviously going to do a lot of damage, but would do a lot of damage if I didn't have a Noizard here that is going to shield. So this upcoming turn, it's introduce... Yeah, clear field as expected. Vagabond can block now, which is obviously not my favorite thing ever. Noizard going to be tired for 2 turns. Boldler is dealing more damage to Beetleback than Illugus is. That's kind of wild. I always think of Beetle as like a super strong offense, like body defense beastie, but it is incredibly good at mind defense as well if you want it to be. The choice of who to introduce is a little tricky here. I think it's going to be Illugus, and let's just click Super Commit into the Beetleback again. Deal a whole bunch of damage. We're tagging Noizard out. Yeah, we see the block. That was kind of expected. Dump going to do a lot of damage, but I can also block it. And Noizard, that'll actually put Hopper in high spirits. So I'm not even tagging Noizard out here. I was thinking about tagging Noizard out, but like now that I look at the field state, blocking just means I can click Whistle again. And Hopper gets into high spirits, which is very useful for obvious reasons. Oh, never mind. Clicked Rattle, okay. Whistle here. If Castlete comes in, it's a bit of an issue. I think I'm gonna click Tornado Ball into the Beetleback. If I get blocked, that's fine. But I want Derpghost to not have whatever he wants positioned here. We see a block again. Okay, so now the Beetleback is off the field on 3 HP, which is like an ideal situation. Noizard is angry. Noizard is noisy, which is very good. I definitely tag in Glacier here, I think, because... okay, Noizard angry now. Makes sense. Dump not doing a threatening amount of damage because I do have Armored Up, which is super useful. Counter is not actually really threatening anything I have on the field right now, so I almost wonder if I want to click Corner Shot. I think that almost certainly the play here is to block, the play here is almost certainly to block, Glacier. Corner Shot, I think, will overall deal more damage than... No, I could just deal 44 damage, but no, I'm gonna go for it. We'll see how it goes. I think the slow chip is gonna be super useful. Oh, we get a free point out of that. Okay. That's kind of big. The Acrobat moved to the front, so to enable the double block was, I guess, the idea there, and it was a fantastic idea. I just unfortunately was reading something entirely different. So we get a point out of that, which is super good. I do definitely click Corner Shot here, even though it is going to make me nervous. Oh, we see the Fruitbox tag in. Interesting. I guess maybe predicting a free ball. I don't particularly mind if Noizard gets knocked out, because that'll mean it'll come back later with full health. With that said, it's not going down to anything here, so I see no reason not to just, like, potentially move up with Boldler. Either that or we have 2 Spirit Attackers on the field. I could send Hopper in. That seems better because I'm gonna immediately start really threatening this Daredillo. So let's go with that. I can introduce the Noizard here and click Thump into the Fruit Bulks on the same turn, which I think is definitely the right play. I don't even need to introduce the Noizard, do I? I could just flex here. I think I'm just gonna flex here. With that said, alright. Yeah, let's go for this. We see a battle cry. Okay, that would mean that the Noizard goes down. And I guess the question is, do I want the Noizard to go down or do I want the Hopper to go down? I think I want Hopper down. Bring the Heat will just knock Hopper out. Proof is going to be on 1 after serve, which is kind of beautiful. Yeah, I want Hopper to go down here. I need it to be on high health. Yeah, we see the Steel bring the Heat, as expected. I'm gonna tag in Masquerade here into the serving slot, which is kind of rough. But I can click introduce from here. I could also... I think I just want Boldler in the front row. That's going to allow me to block a bunch, which is going to be super useful. Hitting this slot, I think, is always better. Battle Cry, okay. I get the free ball served here. I think I would... Castle Elite comes here, in here, almost for sure. I think I would far rather hit the Castle Elite and get double provoked than the other option. I definitely do not want I definitely do not want the count. I do not want the Daredillo to click counter and the Castle Elite to flex twice. That's not good. Thump does knock out Noizard, so I could just, if I wanted to, like, sack a point here and get Hopper in. With that said, though, no, let's just move forward. The attack almost certainly going into Masquerade here. And I have this Armored Boldler, which is really hard to hit, basically. here. Something certainly moves to the front row. I'm assuming it's probably the Daredevil because it has Acrobat, and obviously that's, you know, a lot more ideal. But the Cathlete hasn't flexed yet, so we can put on some decent damage to it here. Fruitfolks is going to be back up after this offense turn. Masquery will not go down to anything, so I don't know if I particularly see a reason to not leave it in. Yeah, that allows me to click introduce this turn if I want to. Continue sending thumps. With that said, if I were to do something else, what would that be? And the answer would probably be tag in Hopra in the front row. We're tagging in Hopra. Flex on the Castle expected. I now have an incredibly threatening Spirit Attacker here. I can click Introduce into the Noizard. And it's a 50-50 for the game immediately. The Daredillo can shield or move back or move to the side. I think a fairly strong play here for Derpghost is moving Daredillo to the side. And I'm not particularly scared of a counter this upcoming turn. So I'm just gonna hit straight into it, because I think the Castle is far more likely to shield out of these two. If there's gonna be a shield coming out, at least. And there it is. Okay, and that's 2-0. Oh! Introduce is a very good move. I haven't been able to run it much this season because I've run into so many dread opponents, but I knew it was a possibility to run this season, and I am glad that I got to show it off because, I mean, as one of the people who got intro Clamor banned way back in February, like, who got Clamor changed to add angry, it has a, there is a warm place in my heart where Introduce lives, and I'm glad to be able to show off just how potent it is still.
Hello!
Hello, hello, and good games.
GG's, jeez.
Introduce is a good move.
It really, really is. That was very annoying for me. I was thinking of bringing Raw Fury too, but I thought I'd be scared off by the potential of it.
On Fruitfolks, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing is, if I'm introducing into Noizard, then Raw Fury isn't like that much of a threat. I'll be so honest. Fair. I think I was more scared of Scream just because of the raw damage.
That's fair.
Fruit is a threat.
It really, really is, and I'm not good at taking advantage of it.
Yeah, I think this week I think was just a little rough for it because you really, like, especially against my very body-oriented team, it's a little hard to bring Noizard.
Yes.
Yeah, I had second guesses about bringing Noizard myself this week. I'm like, is Clamor into Castle a good idea?
It worked out for you, though.
It did work out. Yeah. So what were your thoughts on team building this week? Like, what went into your process? Any particularly fun things you want to highlight?
So, this week was a bit of a rush job for me. I didn't spend a lot of time actually planning this out because I had a busy week. However, there was like a strategy I wanted to try out this time, and that was with fallback, because
yes,
fallback got a big buff last patch. And
it's such a fun move now. It's so fun.
I wanted to play toys that bit. And it did some pretty solid work this time.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, I just could not hit that Daredillo when it was next to the Beetleback.
Yes. Especially with like Captain Beetleback Fallback is like a really interesting combo I want to like try and explore more, but I don't know if it's quite the right team for it.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the best fallback users for that reason. I think the other would probably be like a forward pass Gremler type deal. But yeah, I mean, it's such a fun build. I think it combos fantastically with it combos so well with Daredillo in particular, because Acrobat means Daredillo's just taking no damage even from spirit moves, because it gets the back. It goes from +0 spirit defense at the net to +3 at the back. Basically, because it gets the bonus from fallback, it gets the bonus from acrobat, it gets the bonus from back row, and it takes no damage. It's such a fun combination.
It is maybe the best way to keep Daredevil alive, which I think is really, really cool.
Yeah, no, and I just hit the beetle back, I guess.
Yeah. However, since I put counter on it, I didn't have a lot of actual damage outputs, because you never wanted to hit the Daredevil.
That's one of the struggles with counter, is it's like, if I tend to find with counter is like, counter is often more of a don't hit this thing than a damaging move a lot of the time, because your opponent will be so scared of it a lot of the time. And I mean, I think I hit the Daredillo once on like the final turn of the set.
Yes, and that was a gamble.
Yep, it was a gamble. I sort of figured like you were more likely to probably try and preserve the Castlete there than the Daredillo, because the Castlete was more able to deal damage like going forward in the match.
See, I figure you're more likely to hit the Castlete, because hitting the Daredevil and guessing wrong would have hurt more.
I think the thing is, if I hit the sorry, brain just short-circuited. If I hit the Castlete there, I don't like, and it shields. I can get like provoked very easily. The other option was like, if I think was Daredillo angry or not? I don't think it was. So if Daredillo had blocked, I think that would have. I'm not sure if that would have saved Castlete, but it was like an option.
It might have.
Yeah, and I think I was scared. I was scared of that, because then if you block. Yeah, no, that is definitely what I was thinking, actually. I remember thinking that now. It's like, if you block, basically... No, that was a turn before, actually. I need to watch my own video back, clearly. I don't remember what I was thinking. But I think I was just less... Okay, no, I think I've got it now. I was less scared of the counter than like, the consequences of hitting like a Barkabond tagging in. Sure. I think because Barkabond could net rush dump and immediately do a lot of damage to Hopra.
Yeah,
we'll see again. I'm sure there was more reasoning, and that what I'm saying right now is not entirely what I was thinking in the moment, but it was a bit of a gamble, but a calculated one, I think. I think it was like, I have Hopra and Boldler on field, and neither of those is gonna particularly mind taking a counter. Or I could tag Boldler in, so it's like counter was not gonna make a huge amount of progress if it was boosted.
Yeah, that's fair.
Whereas if the Daredillo moves back, the Castlete or what. No, because I hit the Daredillo. I need to keep reminding myself, because it's obviously the opposite. I have two turns confused in my mind, because there were two turns when the Castlete and Daredillo were next to each other. It's all a lot.
It's all a lot. Yeah. Throughout this season, I've had a lot of issues, especially with Foo Folks, in trying to predict and trying to like team build around where the other person is gonna try and attack me. Because obviously, no one wants to trigger Foo Folks Protector. No one wants to trigger Daredevil Counter. Nobody wants to trigger like Beetleback fucking Captain. all that
Yeah,
shit.
it's definitely tough to, like, there are some partners which are kind of not the best for folks, and I think that especially like running counter next to it, it's like now you have two things deterring me from hitting anything but the folks, which I think does obviously make things difficult, but
it's an issue I've had with a lot of games in this season, in that I just poorly play. I try to use the Fru Folks, but either they bring a counter to the Fru Folks, or I poorly plan around the actual like targeting of the Fru Folks.
Yeah, when I saw the team preview, and if you watch the video back, I actually say like, I think this is probably going to be a treat one here, and I do wonder if you could experiment with that more, because it's still like a very potent attacker, especially, I mean, you counter surf with Battle Cry.
Absolutely.
That jazzed, even if I hit into it, is going to deal a lot of damage. So I was wondering if it was going to be like a treat torch path set to try and support the other attackers on the team. So maybe that's something to mess around with as well in the future.
The funny thing is that before draft, treat Fru Folks was my go-to. I like it a lot. I've just been trying a lot, really hard to make Protector work.
Yeah, it's a fun ability. It's obviously very potent, but it's like, you definitely need, I think, that like double please hit me type build. Like, yeah, Beetleback I think is definitely a little bit of a struggle for it as a partner, just because hitting the Beetleback usually comes with significantly less consequence, or hitting the Beetleback usually comes with significantly more consequence than just hitting the Fru Folks.
Yes.
So it's tough. There are some traits in this game which are like deceptively hard to build around, and I think Protector is definitely one of them.
Yeah, I've kind of learned that. I might
yeah, I mean, definitely you certainly have some tools there. Like, you could run Mighty Gale on Beetleback. I'm not sure how much you've done that yet this season.
I've done that a good bit, but I didn't want to this time because I've been burned too many times by people just like having like ways to get around redirection.
Fair. Yeah, I mean, and I ran Precise today, so...
yeah, like that.
But yeah, next week, who do you face off against next week? I don't have the sheet open.
It's somebody. I just read their name like 2 hours ago.
All right, someone who is also in the Galaxy Brain division with you. Where are we? Mm-hmm. You face off against Balamar next week.
Sure.
So that's gonna be a interesting battle of offense for sure. But hey, it'll be a great week for Beetleback, because Balamar doesn't have a single spirit attacker on their team.
God bless.
I am excited for the 30 body defense, 30 mind defense helmet Beetleback to survive the entire game. That'll be lots of fun.
Glorious.
Yeah, so good luck with that. Good luck with the rest of your season. And thanks for chatting.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Right. Have a good one. All right, to everyone watching on YouTube, thank you so much for watching, and have a good rest of your time zone.